All right, we are here again. My name is Max Aaron James, and today, or at least in this video, want to go over a few of the movies that came out in the past 6 months of 2023. The first half of 2023 to be exact. I mean, the year has been going on pretty fast, right? And we have seen a lot of movies, some surprises, some very fun experiences, some are absolutely horrible, and some we went in expecting one thing or hopeful for one thing and ended up leaving pretty disappointed. And that is what this video is about. It is about my most or biggest disappointments of mid 2023, or at least the first half of 2023. Now, for the most part, these are not ordered or numbered in any specific way, and there are some potential minor spoilers to the movie, but I do not think it would necessarily ruin the experience for the movie if you do decide to go see it. First, we have The Black Girl and Her Monster, the first review that got a dislike in my videos. It is a black trauma disguised as a horror and a very flawed and messy story overall. There are very often a lot of these black trauma narratives being told and feeling that they need to be pushed in order to gain any attention from general audiences, and I feel that is not the case. I do feel that if there is a black narrative being presented, then it can be something similar to The Blackening, which is a comedy but still speaks on blackness and what defines someone who is black or comes from a black family. Also, this Frankenstein thing, it did not need to have any connection to Frankenstein. They probably thought it was clever to play on or have a retelling of Frankenstein in this way, but it just became more eye-rolling. Frankenstein does not gatekeep bringing people back to life, and naming the lead Vakari, like Victor, naming a son Victor at the end of the movie, and not ever saying the last name of Vakari, or the main family's last name, but saying that it's German, clearly Frankenstein. That stuff was very eye-rolling for me. And there's a message that is not even presented until the very end, and it has to be told to you so that you can see the movie differently, which is that you are not a monster. The world just sees you that way. And I felt that was just kind of of course. There are also hints of supernatural stuff, but it's never explained or really explored beyond maybe it's supernatural. But then you never go back to it afterwards, so it felt kind of a cheat thrown into the writing for the sake of pushing the story forward. Next up, we have Scream 6, which starts off fun, starts off going fast. Anyone can get it. You feel that there are actual stakes here, and then it just stops. This movie trolls to the point of making almost everyone upset, and it's not even fun in this experience to be trolled to this extent. No lead characters die. At no point do you feel like they necessarily will, even though they teased or mentioned that it is possible for legacy characters to pass or get harmed, or any main characters from previous movies to potentially die. But that never happens. This movie really slugs to the very end by the second half. I do not remember anyone dying in the second half, yet they killed off 11 people in the very first half of the movie. So again, it starts off fun, and I was pretty positive or felt very good or hopeful about this movie, especially because Scream from 2022 was a lot of fun for me. And then here, I felt that maybe they could do a good trilogy, but this one clearly just said whatever. The reveal, unbelievable, and I just had questions at the end that were not fun the way they were in previous times. Previous Scream movies are inconsistent, and they do have some plot holes or things that you can just laugh off, right? Especially with realizing or finding out who the killer is. But those are more that you can brush away and just not really think about too much. Here, it became so disappointing that this movie is not even worth being involved with the first five. Next up, 65. This movie stars Adam Driver, has a dinosaur. It is pretty much a blockbuster waiting to happen. I pretty much saw a good movie hidden in a very poorly written. Wow. I pretty much saw a really good movie in a very poorly written script. That is pretty much all I have to say for this. Next up, we have Inside, which stars Willem Dafoe. It's about art, which is just kind of my thing. I like art, so there's a bias there. And it is about this thief that gets trapped in a penthouse trying to steal some very expensive art and starts learning things about the owner of this penthouse while trying to figure out a way out without either dying or getting caught. This was pretty much a short film, maybe a 40-minute film that was extended into a feature, which made it pretty boring, and a lot of moments mean absolutely nothing. And so when the ending came, it was a bit underwhelming. It felt more like an experiment of a movie. Next up, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is green screen galore, and these movies clearly are just setups for other movies, usually just Avengers movies. Jonathan Majors carries, no matter what you say about his personal life or what's going on, he carries this movie, and I do not care about any of the other characters here, and they were not that funny. Now here's another movie from Kenya Barris, which shows us that he needs to reevaluate his bias. You People. Julia Louis-Dreyfus carries this movie very much. The black family was not very believable. The religious aspect was not at all believable. It did not feel genuine. The Muslim and Jewish aspects or concepts felt like either an afterthought or a concept that never truly materialized. I never felt Lauren was a good performer to begin with, and so more so Jonah Hill carried it a bit more. Eddie Murphy was pretty disappointing. I felt either they did not give him enough to do, or he's just not the right fit. And last but certainly not least, Creed 3. Creed 3 is probably the most disappointing movie for me because I like the first two Creed movies. I also like the Rocky franchise. Michael B. Jordan, great directorial debut here, but very bad writing. I felt the writers were pretty scared. I would say they were pretty scared. I wasn't going to say that they were kind of lazy or cheating, but I feel that they were not ready to commit to some choices that would have made this a much better story. I felt cheated out of a good story. At no point did I feel that Adonis Creed was the underdog in the story. Jonathan Majors again delivers a great performance, like much better than a lot of other people in this movie, and I felt they needed his character to cheat in order to ensure that you knew that Creed was the main character, that Creed needed to win, and that was the only way to really deliver the story and close out this trilogy in case maybe it flopped or something. I really felt that they were trying to make me feel that Creed was the hero, and I did not feel that way at any point. And I know he was dealing with survivor's guilt and maybe dealing with someone threatening his reputation in some way, but Creed was already recognized as a world champion. Almost everyone respected him at this point. He had a beautiful family, he had a lot of money, he had his own gym. People looked up to him and looking to him to coach them in boxing. He was seen as a role model. He obviously was successful in almost all aspects. He has had to go to therapy, and that's probably what would have helped here. Adonis Creed was retired, and it took one person talking trash about him on the news to bring him out of retirement. I mean, I'm probably just not seeing the bigger picture of why he would want to come out of retirement just because someone was talking trash. The amount of people that talk trash towards any athlete about how bad they are, that they would never survive in the way sports are now, they don't just walk out of retirement to try to prove a point. Anyway, this movie was the most disappointing, especially when I thought it was going to go a different direction in the third act, and it just did not deliver. Anyway, those are my most disappointing movies of the first half of 2023. What did you think about that list? Do you have any yourself that I did not mention? Please feel free to comment below. Until next time, y'all take care of each other. Be sure to check up on each other. Be sure to check up on yourself. And remember, potential has no limit.